In this video we'll show you how we can rough and finish this part. So this is the 3D module that we've started and imported the file. So the first thing we'll do is we'll produce a roughing operation. So we go into milling, advanced machining, and this is where we can set up the speeds and feeds that we want to use. And let's choose a tool. So let's have a 20mm end mill, and the surface paths we're going to choose is triangle mesh, and the cutting pattern will be roughing. So we can choose the machining surfaces that we want to machine. So this is the surface that we want to machine. Now we can set up an offset here so that we can have a finishing allowance left on. That can either be global or it can be radial or axial, so that we can set the finishing allowance as X and Y and as Z, or separately altogether. If we had any fixtures, we could apply them here and the machining will avoid the fixtures. So the heights, these are going to be calculated automatically from the machining surfaces, or we can enter our own heights here. The depth step that we want to use, let's have, say, 5mm. The type of machining that we're going to use can be offset, so that it will follow the basic shape of the part and produce tool paths concentric into that. We could choose the parallel option, which does it in lanes, and we can set the angle, or we can use adaptive, which is for high-speed machining, and it will machine using a constant amount of cutting on the tool. We will choose offset to start with, and we've set the maximum depth step in Z, and we'll set the step over in X and Y. Now when it comes on to the roughing parameters, we go to roughing. If we don't define any stock, then it will machine only the inside cavities if it finds any, but we'll have a stock definition which is based on a bounding box. It could also be from surfaces, which could be another solid model which represents a casting or a forging, or we can choose a 2D containment. So we'll choose a bounding box, and we'll expand the shape by, say, 2mm. Okay, so we click OK, and that will now calculate that tool path, as we can see here. So that's the roughing tool path that's been calculated based on the tool that we've given it and the outside shape. If we wanted to simulate that, we go into the simulate module, and this produces a piece of stock which is just bigger than the tool path, and then we can use the video controls here just to machine that out. We can also set up an exact stock amount so that the tool will only come in from the outside of the stock. Okay, so that's produced the roughing toolpath, and now if we want to, we can just switch that off so that we don't see it, and then we can do some finishing operations. So let's suppose we want to finish around the outside of there. We right click the mouse and say pick faces, and then we create sketches of that. So that's a 2D sketch, which is the outside and inside of that shape. So if we split that up so that we've just got a sketch which is that outside shape, and then for that we can go back into the milling module, advanced machining, and we can use wireframe on that. So we'll give it a 2D profiling, and we'll set the drive curves as being that outside shape, and we can set the cutting side and the compensation so that we can set the compensation on the PC or on the controller, and we can account for tool wear as well. We can cut left or right of that. Now, and then we can set the heights, and we can start off at 0, and then the end will be however deep we want to go. If we don't know the size of how deep we want to be, -80. We could use a different tool, so let's have a 10mm end mill to do that. Okay, so that's gone around there, so we just need to change the offset of that to the right. Okay, so that's machined that. And we could do the same thing for the inside shapes here. If we want to drill those holes, we can go into the XY view and we can create some points, and we'll choose center snap. Oops. Just switch that on. And choose points, center snap. And that just creates points at the center of those holes. Now we can use the drilling operation, and we can have straightforward drilling, peck drilling, deep drilling, ream bore and tap. We can pick the points that we want it to machine, so that's just those two there. Choose the tool that we want to use, and then the clearance plane and the depth that we want to work on. Okay, so that's produced the toolpath for those drills, and we could do the same thing on the inside of there. So that's just a brief video on showing you how the software can machine this shape.